guy, so let's hear what he has to say. His name is NetsBoy, he thinks the world is all over when the Nets just can't play.
What up, Net fans? NetsBoy here, bring your latest in your, oh my god, Brooklyn Nets news. Like, I don't even know where to begin with this right now. Oh my god. It's been a while since my last NetsBoy episode. I've been very busy with a bunch of irrelevant stuff that no one will really care about. But either way, I've been very busy and haven't had the opportunity to do a NetsBoy. But now I have the time, so that's what I'm doing after a disastrous stretch of games by the Brooklyn Nets. Like I said, I don't even know where to begin right now. They are the worst team in the NBA, and it's not even a question right now. It's not even. I'm going to try my best to try to justify how they're not the worst team in the NBA, but they're terrible. They're just terrible. I mean, there's no other way around it. They're 8-31. They're the only team in the NBA that does not have double-digit wins yet. Teams like the 76ers have beaten them twice. I mean, teams like the Pelicans, a team that I felt that the Nets could beat, Nets lost to them. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, just mind-blowing that how bad this team is. All of it, like, oh my God! Like, look, I get it. Jeremy Lin, he's out. Blah blah this, blah blah that. He's a key part of this team. Should not be this bad. It's like seriously, the Nets have looked I don't even know I can't even put into words to describe how bad this team has played the last 10 games. They're on a 10-game losing streak. Like I said, they have only 8 wins. Through 40 games, they have only 8 wins is unbelievable. They're on pace for 16 wins. And this was a team that started the season 4-4. How could you start the season 4-4 your first 8 games and then win a combined total of 4 more games for the next 36 games or 34 games? Like, how? What is going on? Everything that was good about this team in like the beginning of the season when they were 4-4 has disappeared. Joe Harris has hit a slump. He's not making shots anymore. Isaiah Whitehead has completely plateaued. Like, he's okay, but he hasn't seemed to get much better than what he was before. Justin Hamilton was good, and then he was bad, and because he couldn't see apparently, and then he had contacts, eye thingies, and better contact lenses, better prescriptions, and now he can see again, but he's still relatively useless. Anthony Bennett is no longer on the team, which was inevitable because he's a piece of crap as it is. Now they have Quincy Acee, who is kind of okay, but he's not going to be the savior. And then you get, Randy Foye isn't proven to be anything other than his game-winning shot. That was their last win, was Randy Foye's buzzer-beater game-winning shot against the Hornets. I think it was against the Hornets. I don't remember. Yeah, it was against the Hornets. I think that they had that was the last one the Nets had, was Randy Foye's game-winning shot. Like, Hollis-Jefferson hasn't gotten any better. Bojan Bogdanovic he's so tradable. He needs to go. If I'm Sean Marks, you were trading Bojan Bogdanovic. And not because he's a bad player. He's not a bad player. He's a very solid, rotational NBA player. But he is so tradable. He is just a guy who is proven to be the definition of inconsistent. And then Sean Kilpatrick, he fits that category too as inconsistent with Bojan Bogdanovic, but at least Sean Kilpatrick can carry a team offensively every once in a while. Like, the game against the Rockets, Sean Kilpatrick was completely useless. Ronnie Hollis-Jefferson hasn't gotten much better than he was last year. Karis LeVert looks okay-ish, but he's still a rookie trying to figure it out. Finally, the Nets play Chris McCullough, but it's only in garbage time, so it's kind of completely useless. It's no opportunities for him to try to figure anything out. And frickin' Spencer Dinwiddie, once again, who the hell is Spencer Dinwiddie? Like, where did this guy come from? I didn't even remember hearing his name before. And he's getting meaningful minutes with this team right now. With Whitehead had a hurt knee, he didn't start against the Rockets, so he did play. He missed the game before that against the Raptors. But Spencer Dinwiddie comes in now. He's the starting point guard. Spencer flippin' Dinwiddie. Of course, this team is 8-31 when you have things like that happening. I mean, but it's just mind blowing how this team just doesn't play well at all anymore. Trevor Booker was also someone who's kind of plateaued. Like, he went from someone who we were saying, wow, this guy really deserves to be a starter, to he's just another solid rotational big. He really is. He's a great energy guy, but he's just a solid rotational big. He could be a starter, but he's not quite a starter caliber power forward, in my opinion. He's just a good energy guy who can come off the bench, provide energy, toughness, defense, a little bit of offense here and there, and really, really help in the second unit. Like, if Trevor Booker was on a championship team, he'd be a bench player. Matter of fact, everyone on the Nets, except for Brook Lopez, if he was on a championship team, would probably be a bench player, but that's beside the point. I mean, they still can't play defense. The players have not seemingly gotten any better than they did at the beginning of the year, and obviously defenses now have been figuring out the Nets, and teams have kind of figured out their strengths and weaknesses. And it's just a joke at this point. And I'm honestly like watching I've watched the last few Nets games. I'm just like, oh, well, here they are. They're hanging around. Oh, wait, here comes a 10-0 run by the other team. It's inevitable. And then the games that they're close, like against the Pelicans, the Nets should have won that game, but no, here comes that 10-0 run at the end of the game. You know, it's just the 76er game is terrible. Remember, way back, like 2 or 3 NetsBoy episodes before, I sat there and I said, there's 4 teams I feel the Nets should be better than: the Pelicans, the Mavericks, the 76ers, and the Suns. Well, guess what? They're not better than those teams anymore. They are hands down the worst team in the NBA. And it doesn't, to me, it still doesn't make any sense, because I still think this team is capable of much better. Regardless of if Jeremy Lin is healthy or not, this team should have at least 14 wins at this point of the season. Almost double. 7 more wins at this point of the season, I believe this Nets team should have. It's unbelievable how bad they have played, and it's just not stopping. And look, if I'm Sean Marks, I know the whole point is developing these players, but you've got to, at some point, stop the bleeding that is this disastrous season right now, because this team is bad and it's not looking like they're getting any better. So what you have to do is figure out a way to make a move or two to salvage this season. Now, what do I mean by salvage this season? Not be the worst team in the league, because the worst team in the league gets you nowhere, since you have no draft pick. Or you do, but you don't have your own draft pick. So being the worst team in the league gets you nowhere. So what your goal should be, if you are Sean Marks, is figure out a way to make this crappy, disastrous, worst team in the league team into not the worst team in the league. Will they make the playoffs? Of course they won't make the playoffs. NetsBoy's bold prediction at the beginning of the year has been completely destroyed by the crappiness that this team has played. And they just need to get better. And they're not going to get better on their own. And when you have nothing to gain by losing, you need to figure out a way to make the team better. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this episode talking about that. Probably on the next NetsBoy, I'm going to talk about ideas that I have, like I always do. Like every year, I have a bunch of ideas that I think the Nets should do, and the Nets never do any of them because they don't care. But it needs to be something, because you cannot rely on these guys the way they are now, the way they're playing, to turn this around and become a respectable team, because they are not respectable. They are the laughingstock of the NBA. They're the laughingstock of the world, practically, in all of sports, only except for the Cleveland Browns, which even them, they managed to win a game eventually, which is something the Nets look like they'll never do again. So they just need to just take a step back and realize, where can we improve in this team? And there's a lot of places they can improve, especially on the defensive end. But where can they make a subtle move, nothing drastic, to bring in a player or two to make this team not the worst team in the league? And like I said, I'm going to go into that more next episode, because I have a lot of ideas, because you obviously don't want to compromise the whole intentions of this year, which is to create experience and develop these younger players like Whitehead, like Kilpatrick, like Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, like McCullough, like Harris LeVert, those type of players, to develop them into future rotational solid players. And that's the idea. But at the same time, you've got to figure something out. And like I said, Bojan Bogdanovic to me doesn't fit in the future of this Nets team. He just doesn't. He's just so tradable, and I would trade him away to even just get him off the roster. I don't even care at this point. I'd rather him get off the roster, give more opportunity for more minutes for Harris LeVert and Rondé Hollis-Jefferson to play more, and just trade him to some competitor team, some playoff contending team for a late first round draft pick. Like trade him to the Cavs, trade him to the Raptors, trade him to the Rockets. Trade him to any of those teams that are in the top tier, like the top 5 team in the league. Trade him to the Spurs and just get one of their first-round draft picks from it. Why not? Just get him off the team because he just frustrates the crap out of me. Every time he scores a basket, I'm like, oh, good. You finally did something you're supposed to do. And then he turns the ball over the next second. I'm done with him. I'm sick of him. He's got to go. He's so tradable. Just get rid of him. And heck, get rid of him for a second-round draft pick at this point because he's just completely stunting the growth of other players like Rondé Hollis-Jefferson and Harris LeVert and even Joe Harris, who has been very good. Those are players who deserve the minutes, not this inconsistent, sporadic Bojan Bogdanovic, who's just, God, it gets me frustrated. Point is, something needs to be done, and something needs to be done quickly. Is the solution trading Brook Lopez? I don't think so. I really doubt so. But you never know. It depends on what they'll get for him, which once again is something I'll go over in my next NetsBoy episode. But I just feel like something needs to be done because this team right now is not playing well. I mean, they haven't played well for like 2 months, but it's getting really bad. And the fact that they have only 8 wins through 40 games when they were 4-4 their first 8 games is a sign that something is wrong. And Kenny Atkinson needs to figure it out, maybe push some other buttons, maybe try different other lineups, or just simply slap every single player across the face and say, wake up, you idiots, because you're playing like crap and no one's taking you seriously, and that's unacceptable. That's my coaching philosophy, just slap the players. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Moving forward the next few games for the Nets, it doesn't get any better, it doesn't get any easier, it's going to just be more flipping disasters. So, you got the Raptors on Tuesday, loss. Then you got the Pelicans again. Okay, the Nets, I thought, should have beat the Pelicans, so maybe they can win that game, even though it's on the road, and the Nets have one road victory this year. Then they got Charlotte again, a team that they beat by a buzzer beater, but on the road, so probably a loss. And then they have the Spurs, which you can just immediately write in a loss. And then they got Miami at home. That could finally be a game in which they can win because the Heat have been really, really struggling this year too, and have been very disappointing as well. Actually, I think they have the second worst record in the NBA, the Heat, next to the Nets. Let me just check that real fast. They do. Wow, the Miami Heat are the second worst team in the NBA right now, next to the Nets. So, winnable game, Nets. Winnable game. But, like I said, who the hell knows? It's whatever. I need to end this video before I have a stroke because I'm just that angry. But anyway, keep your eyes open for the next NetsBoy. Who knows exactly when it will be. It might be closer to the All-Star break, maybe a little bit beforehand. Like I said, I'm very, very busy these days. I'm going to try to keep this going. I'm going to continue to try to do it at least once a week or at least once every 2 weeks a video. But keep your eyes open. Until then, well, you know what? I don't even want to sit. I'll just do it anyway. Until then, this is NetsBoy signing off.